Good morning, sixth grade. This is episode 3 of English Class 2020. This is the start of lesson 5.3, Comparative and Superlative Adverbs. You will need to open your textbook to page 120 and 121 for today's lesson. If you do not have your textbook and your yellow notebook and a pencil, please stop the video right now and get that. Once again, please get your textbook, yellow notebook, and a pencil and come back to the video. Thank you. All right, time to start writing in your yellow notebooks. This is lesson 5.3, Comparative and Superlative Adverbs, and we're ready to begin today's lesson. Before we start in today's lesson, we have to do a review about what it means, comparative and superlative. So first of all, we're going to take a look at positive, comparative, and superlative and the definition of what that means. Positive, it simply describes a quality or a characteristic. Comparative compares two items or two sets of items. And we would add ER to the word, or it would use more or less. Superlative compares three or more items, and we would add EST to the word, or it would use most or least. Please stop the video and write this information in your yellow notebook. All right, some examples. An example of a positive adverb would be the dog ran fast. Fast is the adverb that describes ran. It's not comparing it to anything else. It's just simply stating a fact that the dog ran fast. That's why it's considered just a positive, because it's not comparing it to anything else. Our next one is comparative. That dog ran faster than that dog. In this sentence, we are comparing how fast two dogs run. In this case, we are saying that faster is the adverb and it describes ran. Please stop the video and write this information in your yellow notebooks. Our next example is superlative. This dog ran the fastest of all the dogs in the park. In this sentence, we are comparing how fast many dogs run. Fastest is the adverb that describes ran. Please take time to stop the video and write this information in your yellow notebooks. Now, here's some more information about comparative and superlative adverbs. The comparative and superlative forms of most adverbs that end in ly are made by adding more or less or most or least. For example, if I have the word carefully, and carefully is the positive form, but if I was using it in the comparative form, I would say more carefully or less carefully. If I was using it in the superlative form, I would be saying most carefully or least carefully. The next slides are some examples, but before we go on to the next slides, please make sure to stop the video and write this information in your notebook. Here's an example. Positive. Larry carried the pie carefully across the room. Carefully is the adverb that describes carried. Larry's not being compared to anybody else at this point. He's simply carrying his pie carefully across the room. Please write this in your notebook. Comparative example. Larry carried the pie more carefully across the room than Rupert. In this sentence, we are comparing how two people carried the pie. More carefully is the adverb that describes carried. I apologize that my screen there is covered at the bottom. Let's see if I can move this. Nope. All right. So once again, more carefully is the adverb that describes carried. Please write this in your notebook. Please stop the video. Now we're ready for the next example. This is the superlative form. Larry carried the pie across the room the most carefully of everyone. So in this case, we're comparing Larry to everybody else that's in the room. So most carefully is the adverb that describes carried. So that bottom line again is most carefully is the adverb that describes carried. Please stop your video and please write this information in your yellow notebooks. Now, we know that in the English language, there are always words that don't like to follow rules. So here's a chart that you need to write down in your yellow notebooks of adverbs that don't follow the rules. So we have three columns. We have the positive column, we have the comparative column, we have the superlative column. If we use the word well, we would say better or best. Badly would become worse or worst. Far would become farther or farthest. Little would be less and least. Much would become more and most. Please stop the video and please write this in your yellow notebooks. All right, now it's time to take a look at your homework. So on page 120 in your homework, you're going to use this information to help you answer to complete exercise 1, which is on page 120, and you're going to do numbers 1 through 15. You're going to find the sheet for this assignment located on Google Classroom. So please make sure to go to Google Classroom to complete this. But this information should be written in your notebooks because you can refer back to it later then when you're filling in the answers for 1 through 15. So number 1 in your notebooks, it says, write the comparative and superlative form of the following adverbs. So number 1, they give us the word slowly. The comparative form of slowly is more slowly. The superlative form of slowly is most slowly. That's number 1. Number 8, you'll notice, is willingly. The comparative of willingly is less willingly. The superlative is least willingly. You notice I use less and least, but we could use more willingly or we could use most willingly. We could interchange less and least, more and most. Now, number 11 took a different way. 11, we started with the positive form early, and if we were going to compare it to one other thing, earlier, but if we were comparing it to more than 3 things, we would say earliest. So you're going to complete exercise 1 through 15, using the chart on the Google document to complete. So write this down in your yellow notebook so you can refer to it later, and then stop the video and then come back, and then we're going to look at the next slide. All right, more practice. This is for exercise 2, which you're going to find on page 121, numbers 1 through 8. The directions say, identify the verb in each sentence. Tell whether the adverb is in the comparative or superlative form. Then tell the verb or verb phrase each adverb describes. The sentence number 1 is, the Great Wall of China has lasted longer than most other structures. The adverb in this sentence is longer. The verb phrase that it describes is has lasted because it's telling us that it's lasted longer. And in this case, the word longer is in the comparative form. Write this information in your yellow notebooks and then stop the video and then come back for the next slide. Next practice is also on exercise 2, following the same directions, but this is number 7. Of all China's early achievements, the wall symbolized most emphatically the power of the early emperors. In this sentence, the adverb is most emphatically. The verb it describes is symbolized. And in this case, the adverb most emphatically is in the superlative form. Please write this in your notebooks, stop the video and write it down, and then come back for the next slide. This is for the last section, exercise 3 on page 121, numbers 1 through 8. The directions say, complete each sentence with the comparative or superlative form of the adverb in parentheses. So let's look at number 1. Allison worked blank of all the students in class. We're going to use the form of the word hard. Now let's think about this. Allison worked of all the students. Allison is being compared to many, many students. So in this case, we're going to use the superlative form. So we're going to say Allison worked hardest because she's being compared to a group of students. That's number 1. As we look at number 6, I am going to work on my next report on my sister's computer because it runs blank than mine. We're going to use the word quickly. But we need to think about this because how many things am I comparing? I'm comparing one computer to another. So I'm comparing two things. So that's the comparative form. So we're going to use the form more quickly because the word more makes the word quickly comparative because we are comparing the two computers. So once again, it would be, I am going to work on my next report on my sister's computer because it runs more quickly than mine. Please write this information down in your notebooks. And I apologize that that box is covering at the bottom of the screen. It just says you are comparing two computers and it's in the comparative form. I apologize for that. So stop, write this in your notebooks, and then come back for the next screen. All right, this is a special task. Once you see the screen, you may stop your video. Open a new tab on your Chromebook, and then your RCLS email, and email Mr. Kubal at dakubal@rcls.net with the answer to the following statement. My favorite movie is. So tell me what your favorite movie is. Then come back and you can finish watching the video. All right, your assignment. We've worked through some of the problems already on pages 120 and 121. You need to go to exercise and complete exercise 1, 2, and 3 using the information given to you in this lesson. This is on Google Classroom. It's posted for April 23rd. Please submit this on Google Classroom and it's due on April 27th. As always, if you have questions, please contact me by email or contact me by Google Chat or Google Hangout, and we can get this figured out together. The only way that you can get help is if you let me know you need help. So I'd appreciate you reaching out to me so that I can know how to help you. All right, so if you need to rewatch this video again, it's going to help you walk through this lesson and understand what we're talking about with comparative and superlative adverbs. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic day.